been on pretty much every hand. Rampage is going to 3-bet this, I think.
18?
1,800.
Seems like every time he has a good hand to 3-bet, he runs into a slightly better one.
Call 1,800. Bertucci?
To me.
1,800.
And if I'm Nick here with the dead money, I'm going for the 4-bet pretty much every time. When Randall calls in between, you're just incentivized to 4-bet.
It is not often that we stop a hand after pre-flop, Jonathan, but we've done it. We've done it because of all of the things that have happened. That's why. And, you know, you could say that anytime. Hey, by the way, this is from Hustler Casino Live. It's a new stream. They come up with cool stuff like this all the time. Check it out. We got Randall Emmett. Let's talk about him in a second because he's the guy with the ace-10 of hearts. Let's first talk about the format here where there's a button straddle. So Nick Fertucci is opening the action from the small blind with the ace-queen. Rampage immediately living up to his name and 3-betting the king-queen suited. What do you think?
It is a surprising play for sure. It's a very good hand, obviously. It's a hand that plays mostly as a call in this spot. A lot of people actually call their entire range here when under the gun opens because 3-betting is such a strong thing, although Rampage is clearly not doing it that way and actually not just 3-betting the very, very strong hands that you would 3-bet normally with +1. It's a weird decision because you assume when Nick is opening under the gun, he's going to have almost his entire range is going to be able to continue against this. And it's a lot stronger than king queen suited most of the time. So that's the concern I would have here. And so mostly I would lean towards a call, but I don't hate this either. He does get to get heads up. It looks super strong and he's going to win a lot post flop if they're heads up.
He is. A point you made on the podcast is we were talking about how he's depolarizing his range. Often when depolarizing your range, you want to be able to have a range advantage when called because you think that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
When Nick is in this position, that's really not the case. Yeah. I mean, there's a few hands, maybe queen jack suited that Nick is going to call with that he opened with that we have in trouble. But a lot of Nick's range is hands like the hand he has, which has us in deep crap here. So that's a bit of an issue with this play. But of course, it does give you the advantage of winning on orphan flops, which I guess Rampage is probably counting on in a lot of cases if he's rampaging all the time.
Yeah. And if Nick is opening wide at all in this from this under the gun spot, I know he's in the small blind, but he's effectively under the gun, then that can also give Rampage a little more license to 3-bet him. Now, I don't know that he is opening wide. So I don't think ace queen is a wide open. I think that's perfectly fine in a normal standard open, even under the gun here. So, but if he has been opening wider, maybe that makes it a little bit better too. It makes more sense.
Yeah. Anyway, it happens.
Let's get to the big thing.
So does Randall Emmett's call.
Here it is.
Let's note that he starts the hand with 14,400, so he's not super deep. He's by far the effective stack. Can you defend the call of ace-10 of hearts here, +2 against this action?
I can't do it well, but here's what I would say if they forced me to. If they made me as lawyer, I would say, listen, Your Honor, number one, probably Nick Vertucci is opening a little too wide under the gun. And the reason why I would say that is because Rampage chooses to 3-bet him. And we can see that Rampage is 3-betting a wider range than you might normally expect from +1. So that means these guys are wider than normal. We have position. We have a hand that actually flops pretty well, plays okay multi-way. So, let's go. That's what I would say. If they forced me to be his public defender and I had to act like it was a good idea, that's what I would say.
The guy's got the blood on his hands and you're like, it's ketchup.
It's the United States of America. We're allowed to do anything we want here, aren't we? That's the kind of stuff you would say. Right?
Yeah. No, it's just a lot of those arguments are contingent on position and he's not on the button. It would be a lot better if he was on the button. There was nobody else left to act. It would still be not good enough. I mean, none of the players are deep enough for him to make this call, but he is especially not deep enough for him to make this call, in my opinion.
I mean, look, if they're all 200 blinds deep, I think he can make this call and it's not horrible. It's at least passable, but he's got 72 blinds to start the hand. This feels like he's kind of setting money on fire a little bit here.
A little bit. Anyway, that happens.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Nick's call feels pretty straightforward. It feels like 4-betting would just be kind of a weird random bluff with ace queen for no obvious reason. And the price is too good to do anything but call.
Yeah, I think mostly this is a call here.
Mostly call the doctor when you sign up for nitrogen using the link in our pinned tweet because you're going to go into shock and heart arrhythmia from the results of signing up for Nitrogen, which are that you get access to our monthly tournament where there is a guaranteed overlay, Jonathan. The doctors have never seen a surge like this before. Nitrogen Sports causing medical problems.
It'll make you really sick.
Get on there.
What time do you guys have?
Nick does flop top pair here. Randall with the nut flush draw.
37, 38. Thank you. Is that a new watch or just?
18.
Huh? Is that a new one?
Yes, Nick check.
No.
Rampage in pretty bad shape here.
Yeah, I think we're going to have 3 players going to the turn, though, unless there's a... No, there was not a raise from Randall.
All in.
Oh, there it is.
He goes 1,800 to 12,000.
That's a big jump.
And a tough spot for Nick here. He's kind of put in the blender here. He's got Rampage behind him, the pre-flop 3-better. And Randall making a huge raise here. He's just in a horrible spot. And if Nick folds here, Rampage is going to snap this off, and Rampage is going to win the pot, but Nick not folding just yet.
Well, I mean, you can't put anybody on a deuce. So Nick might figure he's got the best hand here.
12,505.
Unless, you know, it's possible Rampage has pocket kings.
He's just got to weigh that overlay in his head, the chance that Rampage has worse than ace-queen and Randall has worse than ace-queen. One of them hopefully has a flush draw, and hopefully Rampage was just c-betting
12,505.
with not a great hand. Count out the chips. If Nick calls, Rampage folds. If Nick folds, Rampage calls.
99% on that?
That's 100%.
Call.
Okay. I think he's going to fold too, but it's still 100%.
Making me a little nervous now.
John is real funny when he gets in the elevator. Bottom floor gets on him. When he walks on there, big old.
I mean, this just looks so strong from Nick, right?
For sure. I don't see how he can call.
Rampage 3-bets.
Wow. Okay, so you've now misled me on a 99% situation and a 100% situation.
I am not making any more predictions the rest of the night.
You
Don't ask me.
You know what you're talking about. You do. Oh, what a pot.
Well, Nick's already got half his stack in here. He's getting a price, but he cannot feel great. Look at Randall. He is pained.
Yeah, unless Nick thinks,
No, I'm confused.
then there's no way he could be drawing stone dead. He's getting, what, 5 to 1 on a call here?
He's getting a ridiculous price, but
Yeah, 5 to 1. This is,
115.
if I'm Nick, I just think I'm up against Rampage having kings pretty much every
I'm
time
not worried
here.
about you, Randall. I should be, but I can't. There's no way I could be good here. There's no other money to be put in, right? I could talk.
Correct.
Okay.
I love when he does this.
There's fucking no way I could be good here. I should have fucking folded this fucking ham and cheese sandwich.
No way. Yeah, that's what it has to be.
I don't know what to do here because I'm supposed to probably call now, but
That's what I mean.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't beat kings. Like, I can't beat kings, just so you know.
Even against kings, he's getting the odds to call.
I know. Doesn't he disproportionately call
Can't
when he
beat
says,
it.
I can't be
beat
good
that.
here?
I think I should do.
That's 0-0 once.
What do you think he thinks he should do?
Call.
No more talking.
But I don't know, obviously. But
Rampage
For
looks
me
very
to
uncomfortable.
call almost 13,000, you know I have to at least have a queen, right? You gotta have aces or kings, but I think it's a king.
all
I think
makes
it's
sense.
king. God, if it's not, I'm gonna fucking throw up.
I hate seeing throw-ups on live
I'm
streams.
just trying to think, am I supposed to put that much money in a pot and then fold? I don't know. I don't think so. But maybe I am. I don't know. How can I do? I could. The only way I could win is if I get lucky and draw out, which could happen. You know.
He just needs a couple of blanks to win this hand.
You still have to beat him. You know that, right? Still have to beat him.
There it is.
He calls.
I have king queen.
You have kings?
No, I have king queen.
Oh.
Ace queen.
Oh, good call, Nick.
Nice call. I didn't know.
Twice?
Yeah.
Rampage in big trouble here.
Yeah.
Nick, got an easy call.
That was a great call, Nick.
I win the first one.
Nick
Yeah.
is going to win board one.
3. Ace queen. I scoop?
Nick is going to scoop
Oh
it.
my God.
Wow.
Can't fucking
All right, you count it.
That was a really long think by Nick Vertucci, and we are going to talk about that. But before we do, there's a bunch of big decisions that happen, and I think we should talk about all of them. First of all, this feels like a pretty standard bet, continuation bet, I should say, by Rampage. He does have top pair. He's got a very strong kicker. It's not the best, but still, this is a board he would normally continue on anyway. There are two hearts. Seems pretty standard to me. Any thoughts?
Nah, not really. It's not really worth talking about compared to the other decisions. I'm
Cool.
gonna throw it in the garbage.
Let's move on.
Let's throw it in the garbage and talk about the shove by Randall Emmett. Now,
Yes.
we did get here. We didn't like getting here the way we did, but we did get here.
We're
and
here,
this
man.
feels kind of like the only play. From a practical perspective, it feels like this is all you can do to feel good about the hand. However, there is a problem, and that's balance, right? It's really hard to find balance for your draws here if you're Randall, having played the hand preflop the way he did, right?
I can't think of hands that he can have that he's going to shove with here for value that really make any sense, unless he's flatting that 3-bet sometimes with kings or even aces and now shoves those. I'm not sure why he would, but maybe he would decide to once in a while, trying to get value out of kings. If he's got aces, trying to get value out of kings or ace queen or something, I guess. Maybe to shut out the other player because they're three-handed and there's two hearts. It feels like he's got a real dearth of value, and it's almost all nut flush draws.
It does, which is problematic, but still, I think it makes the best play. I mean, it's still the only thing you can really do here.
And you know what? The other guys may not be able to call anyway. If Nick Vertucci has 2 10s, he just can't call with Rampage behind him. And I don't know if he can call anyway. Really, He's not in great shape. And then Rampage, now, based on the hands they have, it's different. But if Rampage has, it's just C-betting ace king or something like that, he's just going to fold anyway. Even if he thinks it's a flush draw, he's not going to call. I don't think.
Of course.
Another $10,000 and change. So this is going to work even though it's face up enough of the time. And we've got a hand that when called, we're okay. We have at least the nut flush draw. Sometimes we can hit the ace for the win as well. And we hope no one has queens full, because then we're in a lot of trouble. Huge amount of trouble.
And it is face up, which should play into Nick's decision, right? Like, this becomes a mandatory call even more than it already was, when you're pretty sure that Randall has a flush draw a lot of the time and that his value is unlikely to be beating you. And it's also a guy named Rampage who's the C-better and doesn't have to have anything. So it feels like you got to put money in. Now, calling isn't the only option.
That's right. It's a mandatory continue. I'm not sure if it's a mandatory
yes.
call or not.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. It's not a mandatory call because it's a shove or a call, one of the two. Nick opts to go with the call. Is there an advantage to shoving versus calling? This is a tricky spot.
Oh, man, it's really close. So the only thing we could come up with on the podcast is we're trying to think about the hands what would happen basically if Nick shoved here instead of called, right? So what would Rampage continue with? What would Rampage fold? We couldn't think of hands that were better than Nick's that Rampage would fold.
You can't fold kings against that action.
No way. No way. Because all you're losing to is pocket queens.
Right.
You just got to go with it. Would pocket queens even shove there? Not often. They would often flat. It's hard for him to have queens anyway. So on and so forth. So he wouldn't fold pocket kings. Because he wouldn't be able to fold pocket queens, ace queen plays even better. You now block pocket queens. There's only one combo of it. He's going to have to call with ace queen also. So there's no value in folding out a better hand. Can you get called by a worse hand if you shove? I don't think you can, Grant. I think king queen is actually going to fold if we shove here because we have so much ace queen ourselves. So now the only question is it better to shove right now and fold out the times when Rampage actually has the hearts? He's ace king of hearts, which is a very reasonable hand for him to have. We don't have the ace of hearts in our hand, so we can decide to shove and either force that hand to either fold or call, and it hates calling there. It's almost certainly going to fold when the board is paired, I think. Or would we rather just call and give that hand a chance to shove on us, and we take our equity because we're in good shape against it because we've got the ace in our hand ourselves. They only have the flush draw against us. I personally want to just shove it. I think, like, just play it straightforward, make it easy on everyone. But I think there's a very reasonable case to be made to call here also. What do you prefer?
I think I prefer calling after talking it through on the podcast. I think it's just not being able to get any value because we're going to get all in against Randall no matter what, right? Like that's already happening. So if we're not getting any extra value against Rampage by shoving, I don't really like it that much. Now, of course, there's the thing of like, well, what happens if we call in Rampage shoves, which of course is what happens.
Yeah.
We'll get to that because first let's talk about Rampage's shove.
Yeah, you like it.
I think I like it. I mean, I like it more than I thought I would when I first saw the hand. It looked a little spewy at first, but you would really think that if Nick had a hand like hearts, he would have shoved, right? So Nick often has a made hand. It's often king, queen, or ace, queen. Those are his two most likely hands, king, queen suited and ace, queen, maybe a little bit of queen, jack suited.
I think he's got all the queen, jack suited. Well, maybe not all because he opened under the gun. Maybe just a little. Okay, fair enough.
So we might be able to take a look at Randall's line, say that's face up. He's got hearts a lot of the time. How about if there's just an extra 12,000 in here and I shove and get to have top pair against a heart draw, which is a great spot with the extra 12,000 in there. And maybe I can get Nick to fold out the same hand that I have, or even a better hand like ace queen. That sounds pretty good to me.
If we think we can actually successfully fold those hands out, that's pretty good. I think we would successfully fold out king, queen. So we get him off the chop. Now we have a king in our hand. So there's less of those. Now, if it's king, queen suited anyway, there's only two combos of that. But still, if it's king, queen off, which it might be when he calls pre-flop closing the action, maybe he's calling with king, queen off. If
I
he
don't think
decides
he's
to
opening
open
it though.
If he decides to open it, I'm not sure if he is either. Then there's some value there. There's a lot more ace queen because it's all the ace queens, right? This is the problem. So now we have to believe he's actually going to fold ace queen. Now, Nick thinks for a really long time, so maybe this is a reasonable thought. Although Rampage later on said he didn't think Nick was ever folding ace queen. He didn't think that was.
Did he?
Yeah, in a video he talked about it later on.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I think it's an interesting way to play the hand as Rampage. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I think all of these spots are terrible and hard.
It's a really weird spot for Rampage because once Nick calls, raising seems like sort of spewy most of the time. Calling seems kind of spewy most of the time, and folding may seem a little too tight. I want to fold, I think, because Nick rates to have the same hand or better almost always, and it just doesn't seem like a good spot.
Well, speaking of spots that don't feel that good, now we're back on Nick.
Yeah.
And of course, he does not snap the side. Once he called, he probably should have had a decision made up in his head. But I understand when the money goes in, it's a little different. It feels a little different.
I mean, on the podcast, we talked about how it really feels like pocket kings are just pulsating off of Rampage when you're in this spot. It's like, what else is he supposed to have? I have an ace. I block pocket queens. It's mostly pocket kings for value. Would he ever play another hand this way? What hand would he play? I guess he could play ace king of hearts this way if he has ace jack of hearts this way, something like that. You know?
So that's good because that's actually key in as far as making this call based on distribution.
Yeah.
We don't have that many hands in our range actually as Nick that get here this way. We don't really have pocket kings or aces, we think.
No.
We do have a little bit of queens full, but very rarely. We don't have hearts, we think. So then we're down to the different queens, the queen jack suited, king queen suited, and ace queen off. Obviously, ace queen is the best of those. And the best ace queens to call with are the ones that don't have a heart in them and don't have the ace of hearts in them.
For sure.
That's what we have.
We want to unblock that nut flush draw for sure once he shoves.
I think it's a kind of a mandatory call.
I think we have to call because we don't have the ace. If we had the ace of hearts in our hand, I think we have to strongly consider folding because we assume, similar to what we were just saying about Rampage, we're often either chopping or in this case losing to Rampage's range because he's not bluffing. He shouldn't be able to be bluffing here, right? He could take the nut flush draw, I guess, and shove it, but he shouldn't be able to. He can't really do it with air because Randall's already all in.
Right there.
Yeah, so
Randall's
it's a dry pot, dry side pot.
Yeah. So ultimately, Nick makes the right decision in our mind, and he is handsomely rewarded.
He is $70,000. That escalated quickly, people. What do you think about some of these decisions? Let's just get to the good stuff. Let's get to, do you like Rampage shoving there on the flop? And do you think Nick Vertucci is supposed to call there? Of course, you could also talk about, should Nick Vertucci even just shove before that once Randall shoved? There's a lot of interesting inflection points potentially in this hand that ended up creating what we ended up seeing, that massive pot for Nick. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments.
Do. And if you want to chat about this hand with us and other people who have watched and listened to this hand on our podcast, go to Discord. We have a Discord server. It's new. It's fun. We get a lot of fun stuff going on there. We talk about all of the hands. We have separate threads for each hand where we get to talk about those hands in depth. We also have general poker talk. That's in the link in the description there. Click that link. Join Discord. Join the conversation, people. It's fun. It's happy. Enjoy. We'll see you there.
You really undersold it there at the end, but you were doing good up until the very
There's
end.
lots of money there for you. It's free money.
There you go.
Go get it.